over money can put a strain on any relationship, but what can couples do to make this topic less stressful? Joining us with tips is clinical psychologist Dr. Elaine Ducharme. I think finances can be stressful no matter what relationship you're in, whether it's with parents, a significant other, with your kids. It's a stressful topic.
It is a very stressful topic, and the American Psychological Association every year since 2007 has done a survey of the American public to see what are the top stressors and how it affects our mind and body, because they're so very much connected. And this year what they found is finances, in spite of an economy that's getting a little bit better, finances still are at the top of the list of stressors for couples.
So it's worth talking about still. There are always tips that we can use to help make it a little bit easier and less stressful. Your first tip is to avoid using the word budget.
Exactly, because when you think about the word budget, you think about deprivation. Kind of like when you say I'm going on a diet, you know, you think, oh my gosh, what can't I eat? Well, when you think about budget, you think, oh wow, what can't I spend? So I like people to think more about a financial plan. What are our goals? What do we want to do for our future? Where do we want to budget money? And think about, you can use it in that frame, but where do we want to put our money? And where do we want to save, and where do we want to spend this year? So it's much more of a financial plan rather than thinking about a budget, which feels like you're being deprived.
It is true. Like, your budget is this much money a week, so you do feel like you're totally held within those boundaries.
Right.
So just to let's talk about money. A more positive thing. Talk about money history. What do you mean by this?
Well, when you get into a relationship, each of you comes in with a history about money. You come in with your own spending habits. You come in with what your parents taught you about money. You might have learned that it's just fine to spend, and there's no need to ever save. So it's really important to find out what you're bringing into the relationship in terms of your history about managing finances.
That's very true. Maybe you had a bankruptcy that happened in your past. That's important for your partner to know about, so that you are on the same page. Can you even live with your partner's spending habits? That could be a make or break deal.
Absolutely, because some people decide, okay, now I'm single, I can spend on whatever I want. And you just do, you know, you may go to Starbucks every day or go out for special things and shop and buy, you know, $1,000 on a new briefcase or something. But the reality is once you're living with someone or you're sharing a relationship, you have to figure out where all the money's going to go. So it's very important to know what your spending habits are and then what their spending habits are, because you know, sometimes we'll find couples, one person seems to rescue the other one initially, and they say, oh, I paid off all their credit cards. And now all of a sudden you're wondering why, now that you're together, this person is still spending and out of control, and it becomes a real big source of contention.
Right, exactly. So try to nip that in the butt before you even get any further in the relationship.
Exactly.
Take a time out. That can be used in many different aspects of our life.
Yes, exactly. So when you're arguing about money and it gets to be a hot topic, people aren't even listening to each other anymore. They're just shouting at each other. They're angry. Take that time out, go away, and say, let's come back, you know, within the next 24 hours and sit down and talk about it more rationally.
Right, and so then you can actually have a conversation, talk through it, and you'll be more productive.
Even writing down the primary things that you're concerned about in terms of your finances. You know, I want to save, and my feelings are that it's really important to save, not to spend everything. How can we come up with a plan where you can spend on certain things, or we can both have a certain amount of money, but we're also not neglecting our future? So when you write down the things that are important to you. Some things, for some people, like getting into retirement, there's some people who feel like they want to spend more because I want to do it now while I'm okay. And the other partner is saying, no, but I want to save for much later, and you know, if I get sick. So you really have to sit down and talk about those things.
Yes, everyone kind of has their own philosophy of life and how to live it, and money is a big part of that.
Money's a huge one.
That's a good, an important conversation to have. You also suggest that couples get professional help, or just a single person get professional help and talk to someone about it.
Yeah, I think, you know, sometimes talking to a financial planner, if you go in and you can each sit down and say what your goals are. Financial planners are often very neutral, and if you ask him or her to do that, they will sit down with you and say, look, here's the best way to use your money and a better way maybe to plan, and if this is your goal, this might be a good way to do it. So they can be very helpful. The other piece is to look at what's our communication style in general, and if you're having trouble with basic communication, it may be very helpful to talk to a psychologist who can help you really figure out how can we communicate about not just money, but about everything in a healthier way.
Absolutely, because communication is one of the most important things in a relationship. So you want to make sure that there's good communication.
No question about that.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ducharme, for joining us. Always nice to have you.
Thank you.
And for these tips and more, you can visit us online at mymassappeal.com.